to here.
Hey, everybody. Today, I am so excited to talk with Alexandria Maloney. Alexandria, you were introduced to me by Leslie Lautenslager. I had Leslie on the podcast a few episodes ago. I'll tell you, they were episodes 204 and 205. So be sure to listen to those if you get a chance. They're great. But here's what Leslie says about Alexandria, which kind of made you giggle, I think, a little bit. Alexandria is quite the I'll start over. Alexandria is quite the Renaissance woman, as she's accomplished in many fields: academia, international affairs, entrepreneurship, and mentoring, among many others. Now, here's a bonus that blew me away. She's even recorded a holiday album of songs. But her leadership of BPIA, which is Black Professionals in International Affairs, is remarkable, according to Leslie. And that's how you first got to know her. So, Alexandria, I'm excited to talk with you. Welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kay. And I'm very excited to be here and to speak to all of your listeners today. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Mostly women. Some men, really smart men, listen because you can learn a lot. But I only interview women. So, yeah. So, women listening who are business owners, entrepreneurs, salespeople, or I've interviewed everyone from authors to actors to, political people. So, what can you tell us about, your backstory and how you got to where you are now?
Sure. So my backstory is that I was raised in a small suburban town in southern Maryland, an area called Charles County, Maryland. In short, I had a high school French teacher who was very intentional about teaching us the opportunities of the world, and so that is what originally exposed me to international happenings and travel and international fairs. And from under her guidance that I was able to apply and attend university overseas in Europe. So I did my full undergrad in Rome, Italy, at a school called John Cabot University for all 4 years. And that experience was transformative for me. It challenged so much of my thinking and understanding of this world as an American and the complexities of life in different countries and places. But what I did get out of that experience was I knew in my heart and to this day that I know I'm here to help make the world a better place. And that has taken different shapes and different pathways. But typically, everything that I've ever done, I say points back to my personal mission of wanting to help build a more peaceful and harmonious world. And so, whether that's through supporting institutions that are promoting peaceful societies and social cohesion, things of that nature. I like to support institutions like that, like my day job at the Kettering Foundation, supporting networks and communities that are building strong tie communities around the things that matter, whether it's Black professionals in international affairs or on the advisory of the United Nations Association Advisory Council for the DC chapter, but also wanting to recognizing that a part of making the world a better place is teaching and preparing the next generation of leaders. And so that's where my academic engagements come in there in the lecturing space, but also, and then I think connected to that is also the necessity for us to formalize our thought, put things in writing, whether it's in op-eds, whether it's in academic writings, journals, and places, even if, even my personal thoughts, putting those out in self-published books. I mean, I really, that's one big thing that I encourage, especially women to do is like to document our journey, our lessons, our things, because others can get so much from that. Uh, and then lastly, another big part of me and my story is just my connection to communities, but the international community, my work with Black professionals in international affairs. I started with the organization about 15 years ago as an intern
Mhm.
and then became a student member, a general member, was invited to serve on the board, and then nominated and elected as the president of the organization. And when I started almost 15 years ago, we had 98 dues paying members as an organization. And so at that time, no social media, no expansion necessarily in terms of the online and digital base. And now we have a reach of over 23,000. And so building, knowing what it means and what it takes to build something is something that I know well, and having to work with people and different types of people and in different capacities, full-time versus volunteer versus, intern. I mean, anything that you can imagine. And so I'm excited to be here, happy to be here. I'm excited to share, what few things I've learned in my short 33 years on
Mhm.
this earth so far.
I'm really glad you're here too. I mean, it's quite an impressive bio and track record, obviously. And I have to say, just in the few minutes we've chatted before we recorded, and now you're really easy to talk to, down to earth, delightful. I love seeing examples who are of powerful women
Yeah,
who have accomplished so much and confident, and yet you don't have to be all uptight and
right.
whatever that is. You're just really
Yes.
easy to be around. I have to say one thing, shout out to teachers. Is that
Yes.
amazing that you had one teacher that changed the trajectory of your life?
Yes.
Um, that is anybody listening who's a teacher, we need you. This is the kind of change that you can make from an early age. Second of all, Rome. I'm so jealous. Probably my favorite city. I've probably been there the most, but certainly nothing close to 4 years. And to immerse yourself in that, and that makes the world smaller, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
go places and people are wonderful, and you've got your mission of being, spreading peace and harmony.
Yeah.
And guess what? Right now, it's what, April 2026. We really need that. We really,
Yes.
really need that. So I was taking a few notes. I'm totally tuned in. But so let's talk about, I mean, I love the fact that you built BPIA from what, 98 to 20,000. I'm
Yeah.
sure you did it with help, but how, tell us, what has it taken for you to accomplish these things? Of course, for
Mhm.
me and for my listeners, we want to emulate some of the things you've accomplished. So tell us about that.
Yeah. What did it take? I'd
Let's
say
let's
from a baseline, the starting point is the reality check of and one's own radical self-awareness almost of where it is that you are really trying to go. What do you have? What pieces do you have that can help to get you there? What are you missing? And are you willing to kind of pay the price of what that may take to get there? And not just, time and work hours. You're talking about relationships, you're talking about missing, time away from family, resources, putting in your own money into things. And so it really has to be um worth one's while to be able to invest so much of yourself into these things. But for me, I always felt like it was worth my while because I saw the benefits and the outcomes that I had experienced through being a student with BPIA, right? And meeting other members who come back and say, Alexandria, wow, thank you. This community, I was able to get an internship or fellowship or scholarship, or how this community helped to advance other people's lives and careers. And so for me, it's just like the gift that keeps on giving. But in terms of what it really takes, the reality check of where you are and where you're going, the self-awareness of yourself, recognizing that you can't get there on your own. Especially depending on what you're trying to build, right? Most things you're building, it takes people to build it, not just you. And I'm a big planner. I love to plan and vision. I like to write my to-do list. I have the to-do list for the to-do list. I'm like, I have the calendar that have all these things. I have these systems, right? Because if you're really, and when I say this, everyone has their own journey and their own walk, right? What I'm about to say is for the high performers who are looking to take their level of impact to another level, to things that may not be in their cards that they were originally dealt in life, right? Like I come from a standard middle class family. They're not political background, anything like it, not international affairs. And so I had to kind of learn and build and grow these things on my own. But being an ambitious woman, I said, I know that I have goals for myself that I'm interested in reaching, and I'm going to do everything in my power to try to best align and position and interact in organizations and with associations and with institutions that seem to be aligned that can help me to go where I'm going. And a part of that has also been recognizing that I'm able to do the things that matter to me most or more when I'm able to be on bigger stages or have a stronger online presence or be featured on podcasts or radio interviews or things like that too. And so I say that because sometimes as women, we are we have this consciousness of, well, I don't want people to think I'm being arrogant by posting these things or doing what I'm doing. And when I move throughout the world, when I think about the work that I'm doing or the things that I'm doing or promoting, it's because I'm promoting something bigger than myself. I want to put the causes that I care about on these platforms and stages. I'm not up there talking about the personal life of Alexandria Maloney. I'm on here talking about important causes, important communities, and organizations. And so I'd say that those are some of the key pieces of what got me to where I am today. The audacity, the preparation, the over preparation, the learning. Sometimes you're just not going to know. You can do the best that you can with what you've got. Okay, you do the best that you can and not be too hard on yourself, especially if you know that you're learning and doing it for the first time. But you don't want to ever look back and say, I wish I would have done that thing. Or, maybe you reflect back and say, maybe I could have done that differently. Now I know I did the best I could with what I had at the time.
I really like that and what you said about women. I think women, we beat ourselves up more. Something that you just said really struck me is that, when you're on bigger stages, bigger platforms, more prominent in social media, yeah, we're afraid, oh, we don't want to be seen that way or whatever, but it's not about us. I love that you say it's not about you. If you
Yep.
have this bigger passion and purpose, then no one's going to come knocking on your door and say, "Hey, Alexandria, would you come help us start the BPIA?" Yeah, it's not about us. I find myself falling into that trap sometimes, even when I'm presenting. If I'm
Mhm.
really tuned into you and what you need and want, it's not
Right.
about me.
Mhm.
And I think that's very wise. The journaling, which so often you hear about journaling, and so often you're like me, not super consistent. But when I do,
Yeah.
it's so clarifying of your thoughts. And
Yes.
I have to say this saying is going to stick with me. Radical self awareness.
Yes.
Did you have you said that before?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have, radical self-awareness, radical self-honesty. Those have resurfaced a few times for sure.
Right. Well, and it looks like, yeah, if you didn't do it exactly like you would want to the next time, you say, okay, what would I do differently? Failure's hard, but it's the only way we learn. Unfortunately, whoever made
Yep.
that rule, I'd like to talk to, but and your organization, that's something that I wrestle with.
Mm,
And so, I mean, it's not exactly on topic, but do you have any specific systems
mhm.
that you use to keep yourself organized?
Yes, I could talk about this all day.
Is
This
that what
this
your
topic
passion
alone
is? Good.
could
Okay,
be
talk to me.
could be a
Talk to
1
me.
hour it could be a 1 hour session. And I do and since the last year, because I know the title of this podcast is Uncopyable, a part of me believes, I'm like, I don't want to some things about me, I want people to be able to copy so that they can help and, if it's useful to them. And so last year I took the time to like put together and package all the systems, all the things that I use, and I refer to it as the Maloney method. So on my alexandriamaloney.com, I've got the workbook there. I've got some free resources, some, PDF, different styles, workbooks. But for people who ask me, like, Alexandria, how did you do all these things? How have, reached such heights at such a young age? Like, these are the tools that I've used to plan, from doing workbooks of my own grand strategy, of my own trajectory, to creating sprints and timelines. If I say that I want to become an expert in topic A or B, how am I interacting with that on a quarterly basis, on a monthly basis, on a daily basis? For some people, it may be excessive. I have nothing but time. And so I love the idea of reviewing and reflecting on the things that the goals that I've set for myself. I'm a big vision board person. I like to do the digital vision boards, physical vision boards, and organize it, not just about the professional because it's more than that, right? It's I don't want to become a robot. And so when I'm thinking about my life, I'm thinking like, how do I design my life? How do I curate the life that I want? What are things that I want to see for myself that I want to do in this life? And whether I make it all the way there or not, I at least know I tried, I made some attempts, I did, everything that I thought that I could do. And looking at that from professional, personal, physical, mental, spiritual, social, intellectual, there's so many different areas that we can plan and think about. And then the last thing that I'll share with this that I find extremely helpful because I don't know about UK, but sometimes at the end of the month, I look back on my month and I'm like, what did I do this month? Like, what did I do? Something like I feel like I did things, but did I? What did I do? And so I have a chart where I list my 5 areas of growth. I'll just say it like that. There's this other term, but physical, mental, spiritual, social. And I call it my accomplishment tracker. And no matter how big or little it is, I'll just jot it down myself and I'll reflect on, oh, here's what I did. I did go on, I did, I did a mile walk this week, or, I took time to go to my church Bible study this past week. I did, thinking back so that and that helps me to remind myself like I am doing things. There is progress and that there are things happening and setting kind of quarterly milestones for myself of in those 5 major areas where I might say 2026, I want to walk a 5K. It doesn't have to be like big, crazy, super wild things, right? It could be very manageable. They can be as big or as small as you want them to be. So for me, I've got small things that I consider to be more on the realistic side. And then I've got big things where I'm like, okay, here's my goal. I want to present at Oxford or at MIT or something like that, that I may not even have the full steps of what it takes to get there, but at least, it's setting a target. It's giving me something to move towards and not just out here like with the chicken with my head cut off. Like, okay, I did this thing. Now what? I did this thing. Now what? Where am I? Left, right, up, down. And I know even when someone may Google me or look at me online, it looks like there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of things happening because there are at the same time. Right. And for me, I recognize that I think there's an importance in establishing your name and your reputation in different domains. I think that that's strategic to do that because then you're able to build your reputation, build your knowledge and your learning about different things or the things that matter to you in different places. And you're also known as an expert in those different domains. So whether it's in a regional or a business area or a technological or a different industry area, you're building relationships in that place. Like it, and what was also told to me as a suggestion, it said one tech strategy to build your expertise in in some cases you may be a big fish in a small pond, or you may be a small fish in a big pond. And so if you're going to the same conferences and events, speaking to the same people, learning the same thing, speaking to the same thing, what are you learning? And so, but let's say maybe my expertise is in the African continent, but I decide to go and submit myself as a speaker on a panel for the Edison Invention Awards, right? I can go there and bring my expertise that I know about Africa to Edison, right? Like it's an intersection that then increases one's profile because you're stepping outside of your usual shell and your usual nest. And so that's one other suggestion, one other tip that I'd share that I have found helpful.
Okay. Well, sometimes AI listens to my conversation and I say, "What do you think?" And it says, "Don't talk so much." But Alexander, and I have to do some talking here. Well, I love the Maloney method. I'm gonna definitely look that up. I hear so many people talk about this. I've read books about it. I have a blankety blank full focus planner right here. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're right.
I have those too, Kay. I have those too. Empty. one page, the first page written, and that's
Oh, I know. It's starting out so good. I've got less. Who this belongs to. Look. Hey, Miller. There's my phone number and email if it gets lost. Um, but you really live it. I've watched so many
Mhm,
and read books. I actually just had worked with a coach who,
mm,
I think I have his book. He's super intense. Demolish your
mm.
comfort zones. Very,
Okay.
um, what I'm trying to say is, but you really have made it work. You
Mm,
do it and you seem to love it. And I think in a way, that's what we all think. Ooh, I hate being disciplined. I hate writing stuff down.
mm,
And then it becomes such a positive and you've got momentum and it's taken you to where you are. Your vision, you said so many things that are going to
mhm,
stick with me that I want to share with other listeners is really having that vision because I think even if sometimes we have a vision, we get discouraged or we get off track.
mm,
And I like the fact that you have a vision board and
yeah,
that you have, digital, which is probably your numbers and things like that. But then now I have to add, bring one more thing. And that is under the Uncopyable umbrella,
mhm,
obviously uncopyable. Steve wrote this book. I'll give him credit because we've
ooh,
half and
yeah,
half. Stealing Genius, and it's exactly what you described,
mhm,
going into another world.
yes,
Best example I can think of in our personal experience is that we took a group of manufacturers to the American Girl doll store
mhm,
in
yeah,
Chicago. And at first they're like, "What?"
yeah,
And then when you open your eyes, like you just said, you can bring things from over here where everybody's copying each other. We laugh about trade shows. Oh, they have a popcorn machine. We'll have a popcorn
yep,
machine. Everyone looks at each other. So that is such a great example of living, stealing genius
yeah,
because yeah, you don't even want to just copy them. Everything that you take, you're going to morph and make it into your
mhm.
own. This is the Alexandria Maloney version of that.
That's right. And
And
in the words of Beyonce, one of my favorite singers, she says, "Don't let me see something that I like because I'll take it and I make it better." We don't have to recreate listen, okay, we don't have to recreate the wheel on a lot of these things. Some things, it's like when you feel a rhythm that something feels good or something
right.
works well for you, it's like, "Ooh, this works well," or "This is effective. Let me keep doing this or sharpening this
Oh,
thing."
yeah. Well, and look what she did to country music. After
Mhm,
all these years,
mhm.
she comes out with a freaking country music
Yes, and
album.
they say the rock album is the next album. I can't wait to see what comes next. That's all I
Let's wait here. Gospel, she'd be killer at gospel too.
That's right.
Just keep going. So,
Mhm.
as I said, you are very real. It's very
Oh,
refreshing because it's easy to get intimidated by people like you, but that focus on purpose and that it might change, it might
mhm.
have to be adjusted, course correction.
Yes.
Uh, I'm looking at some of my notes that I wanted to ask you. I think we've talked about a lot of what I have, but I do want to ask, how much time do we have? Not very much time, but do you can decide what to share. We talked about, what do leaders fail at to
Yeah.
do, or what are they getting wrong,
Yeah.
or, maybe your bottom line advice.
Sure. So I'm happy to share on when leaders have gotten it wrong. I've seen leaders get it wrong in a few different ways.
That you have.
But they come back to one core issue when I think about these examples, and it comes down to misjudging trust. Whether it's in a team, whether it's in an individual, or even, how you treat people. And so I have 3 examples that come to mind,
That's a good
and
secret number 3.
this is 3, and 2 of them are when I was the leader and I was in the wrong.
Okay.
And so the first time, and I'll try to kind of make it a comprehensive and get to the lesson. But the first one, so I was selected as a Forbes 50 champion years ago for supporting impact in Black and Browns communities specifically. But we would be invited to go do these big hackathon competitions to go and pitch our ideas to a room full of investors and things like that. We did it 2 years in a row. The first year we went in and pitched, we came in second. Like, "Oh, we're so close, like, let's go back again, and we're gonna go and take it all the way forward. We're gonna win this year, we want it gold." But I had a clear view of what the solution should be, and I was the team lead, but the team had come up with a different consensus. and I had overrode and I went my own direction because I'm the one with the mic, and we lost. And the feedback, we get real-time feedback from the judges. And of course, the real-time feedback from the judges was, "Oh, well, actually, what would have been a more sustained possibility was," and it was the exact that the team had essentially come up with. And what I learned from that is that leadership is not always about being the smartest voice in the room. There is something to say about knowing when to trust the collective intelligence sometimes of a team. And so that's the first one. Another
Yeah, I mean,
part.
I wanna
Yeah,
say
please. Yes.
that obviously taught you a huge lesson in humility, and the fact
Yeah,
that you're telling
yeah.
this all these years later
Mhm.
tells me, number 1, that lesson really stuck with you. Lets me also know that you're okay telling everybody about that. Remember this so you don't make this mistake. So you're not trying to hide the fact, "Hey, one time I wasn't right."
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
because I'm
so
squinting at
okay.
people who act like they're all perfect and they don't make any mistakes. Like, I'm squinting at folks like that, so I don't wanna be like, I'm like, "No, this is
Yeah.
what happened. Here's what I learned. Here's how I move forward, and here's how I never how I avoided those mistakes in the future." The next one I'll share, this was a big one for me because I originally growing into my own leadership journey and learning, I always wanna see the good in people's, bank on people's potential. "Oh, this person is so nice." But that came back to bite me one time when I banked on someone's potential and their niceness, but not on their track record to be able to deliver on what we were doing. And it resulted in their inability to handle the relationship management of a very prominent partner that we were working with, who, in short, the person had kind of like disregarded small little details, but all these small details added up to big details, and and it impacted the overall experience of the partner that they weren't answering our calls. So it took me years to do damage control to finally bring them back on and get them on board. Now they're on our advisory council. But learning like that of you can give people a chance and an opportunity, but making sure that that you have some indication of the person's ability to handle what it is. Because for me, if you can't show me that you can handle the small things, I can't trust you with the bigger things until you show me you can trust me with the smaller things. And so that's been a big lesson that I've learned, especially as I continue to kind of grow into bigger rooms and bigger opportunities. It
Mhm.
brings the interest from people in my community or or mentees or people who are like, I want to help and jump in. They may be eager, but are they capable? And so when you're building really big things, especially with high operating, contacts, organizations, and institutions, small things. I wrote an article on Medium about how the air gets thinner the higher that the altitude that you go in, basically, that there's less room to make more mistakes because
Mhm.
something that makes no that doesn't change a situation at sea level can be life threatening at 10,000 feet because there's just a little more intensity there. And so recognizing that and letting that be the guide. And then the last one that I'll say, it's related to a leader that I had worked for, someone who I reported to. And in short, the person had questioned my integrity about something very serious and had no evidence. It was kind of like a side comment kind of thing, kind of just, off the cuff in a conversation. And that to me is one of the highest mistakes a leader can make because once trust is broken, once the respect is broken at that level, it is very difficult to repair that. I made the decision immediately. I said, this place is not aligned with my values. Like, I don't take that. I take that very seriously, right?
Yeah.
In a past life, I worked in the Department of Defense, US government. I've got a top secret SCI polygraph clearance. Like, those things I do not joke with. And ultimately, she and the organization in a way paid the price because with the outputs that there was a strong I left a strong impact on that community. You could see the difference when I ended up leaving. And I think that what that reflects is that leaders sometimes can underestimate the cost of how they treat people. And you can lose strong, capable, loyal individuals because of how you handle, your communication style or, power dynamics or respect. So those are the three ways that I would say that I've seen leaders get it wrong and suffer immensely from it.
Well, be careful what you say. I mean, on a much more basic level, I remember my mom saying, if you can't say something nice, don't say it at all.
Mhm,
But yeah,
mhm.
remember what your words mean, the impact that they can have, and don't throw them away lightly. I mean, the funniest saying in the world is sticks and stones can break
Mhm.
my bones, but words can't hurt me. It's
Yep.
the opposite.
Yes.
It's the
Yeah.
opposite.
Mhm.
Interesting. So trust, really needing to know upfront that you've got the right person for the job. And as you said, you like to trust people. You like to give them the benefit of the doubt. But that I liked your analogy of the sea level to 10,000 feet,
Yeah.
those changes, or, say the rocket that just left, if they make a
Mhm.
tiny little error here, it's
Yeah.
going to cause
Yes.
a lot of problems in the future.
Mhm.
So,
And
you know,
Kay, I know some people may be asking, well, like, how do I even know if someone is really capable or
yeah.
able?
How do you?
First off, I need to hear exact examples of where they've what I know I'm gonna need this person to do. I'm gonna ask them to say, "Do you have specific experience doing this, and can you give me some examples of how you did it and how you" but these are the 2 questions that I like to ask, and again, you can learn we can learn from anyone. I know people may feel a certain way about Elon Musk, but he has this strategy where he asks 2 interview questions, and I never forgot it. He asked 2 questions. He says and these are questions that I ask people when I'm bringing them on to a serious team. He
Okay.
says, "Explain to me what are the decisions that led what's your story? What's your life story, and what are the decisions that brought you to where you are today?" That helps you to kind of see how they think and their pathway forward. And the second thing is asking them, help to explain to me some of the biggest problems that you solved and how did you solve? Because that will weed through the superficial versus the people who have done it because no one will know the problem set more than a person who has actually had to do it and fix it and solve it.
Like you say, love them or hate them. That sounds very wise. That sounds very wise, and I guess it also supports, as we wrap this up, kinda going back to your radical self-awareness and being, I don't know what the right word, not thoughtful isn't really quite what I mean, but really taking yourself through, seeing where you wanna go,
Yes.
and documenting it on the way, keeping track of it, because that will give you the answers to some of those questions. I think, as we
Mhm.
said, "What did I do last week? What did I do today?" Sometimes
Mhm.
we did amazing things that, "Oh, yeah, we forgot about it," or maybe it didn't seem as amazing, but I think this
Yes.
all really ties into something really powerful. And
Absolutely.
so, Alexandria, besides learning how to be Maloney's in the Maloney, I want to be a Maloney. Um, how else can people get a hold of you, learn, buy your books, etc.?
Yeah, sure. So I'm easy to find. You can Google me, Alexandria J. Maloney. I've got my website, alexandriamaloney.com, where you can find, I have my Maloney Method workbooks and the career things. I have some free resources on there as well. I also don't like to gatekeep. I know that right now can be a tumultuous time for people with job loss and things like that. You can
Mhm.
just shoot me an email and happy to, provide the free, PDF version for those who need it. But in addition to that, you'll also see that I have other kind of personal writings and books too. There's another one that I have. It's called I Said What I Said. And it's just my thoughts about all these things, all the things we're afraid to ask. Why are we afraid to ask them? That's the budding philosopher in me. Like Leslie shared with you, I have a holiday album.
I want to
It's
hear about that.
it's
I
on
just
my
want to hear,
website. Yes, in case people
how'd
ask.
that
It's on
happen? And what,
but,
yeah, tell us what it's about.
something could happen the day after tomorrow, and I really say, I'm like, there are things in life that I know I want to do, both serious and fun, and I'm like, "Why not?" Why people do it all the time who are much less talented than we are, Kay, and so I said, "Well, why not? Why can I not do these things?" So, yeah, I'm found online, and the last thing I'll say, just to kinda wrap up to our listeners, no matter whether you are a college student, whether you're, a recent graduate, whether you are a mid-career or senior career professional, because I do, coaching and advisory services for all different levels and all ages and all professional stages of life, both professional and personal, is just a passion of mine, is that you hold the pen to your life. We hold the pen to our life. Do not let anyone else, do not let society, do not let them hold your pen. And I know that we may not be able to we all have different starting points. We can't pick what playing cards we had to start with in this game that we're playing, but we've got to play the best hand that we have based on the cards that we have. And so again, please feel free to reach out if there's any way that I can be of, help and support, or just, someone to help give ideas about things. I love to do that too. I host a free mentorship circle quarterly. That's also on my website as well. And keep pushing through. Keep pushing through.
I love all those resources, and we will put the links in the show notes, and I'm going to check those out. Uh, Alexandria, Leslie was wrong. You're so much more than what she said.
And we're still only scratching the surface.
I know,
There's
in 30
still
minutes or less. I can only imagine how far we could go, but I'm interested in reading more about you and what you've written. So,
Thanks.
uh, thank you, Leslie, for the great recommendation. And Alexandria, absolutely. I am so grateful for you. Thanks for being on the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Kay.
That was so good. That I need to hear.